Here we are five amazing women from US, New Zealand, and India. I'm the co-founder of a startup, Newfini, where we are creating wearable device to validate your mental health. So stress and depression and mental health, I have a big stigma attached to it. People think that it's a hoax or a Western concept, or they think that we need some trauma in life to actually have depression. So we have five women from different journeys of mental health, and I'll ask them to introduce themselves. So Tazmeen, can you introduce yourself, please?
Okay. Hi, Ria. Hi, everyone. My name is Tazmeen, and I'm a writer. I'm also a marketing professional, and I've dealt with depression since a very, very tender age. So I've dealt with it since I was 8 or 9 years old, and it's been like a very ongoing struggle for me. And that's it.
Kanika, can you share something about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Kanika Kaul. I did my post-graduation from Australia. This was in 2014, I moved there. Anxiety actually kicked in when I moved there and I had to face all those responsibilities, which I was partially aware of, but I didn't know the extent and the intensity of those responsibilities. There were other added factors to my anxiety. There's not a specific incident that I remember that kicked my anxiety in, but when I had to face those responsibilities, like, thinking about the bills, the culture shock, the exams, and working part time was not very easy for me to manage. And that's when I think my anxiety actually kicked in.
Thank you, Kanika, for sharing your story. So, Shrutika, it's you next.
Hi, firstly, thank you for inviting all of us here. You're doing a great job. So as regards my interview, I'm Shrutika Misra. I am a lawyer. I have battled depression. However, until last year, I did not really understand what I was going through. I just thought that I'm just sad or something bad is happening to me. But it was very late when I realized that I was battling depression. So it led to suicidal thoughts as well. So yes, that's my story.
Okay, thank you, Shrutika, for being so strong and sharing this on a social media platform here. Srishti, you are next.
Hi, I'm Srishti Stempert. I'm doing my PhD and I study liver cancer. Along with that, I'm an investment associate. Panic attack, stress, depression, it all kicked in around 4 years back when I first moved here. Basically, when your support system is taken away from you and you are faced with multiple failures and rejection, kind of like, feeling alienated from the society that you're living in. It's just stressful. So yeah, that's my story.
Thank you so much for sharing. Farhein, you are next.
Hi everyone, my name is Farhein and thank you Ria for inviting us first of all. I have been through depression twice in my life, and first was so I got married and then there were domestic violence which was involved in the marriage, and then the marriage ended. However, domestic violence stopped, but the stigma of divorce first of all, and the whole mental torture and physical torture that I was been through was kicking hard in. And I was in a foreign country. I was not in my home country. So it was pretty difficult to understand whether it was a good point or not. When I see back, it was a good point that I was in a foreign country, because in India's divorce is a big stigma. So that helped me to heal. But I think, how when it happens, you get hurt somewhere, and if the hurt has happened there again, then like that area becomes weak. I think that's the reason why I went through depression the second time. It was a similar situation, similar side of type of depression, I would say. It was more like a reactive depression.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Farhein, for sharing your story. I just want to emphasize to everybody here that here we can see that marriage, moving abroad for studies, or being at the comfort of your house also can cause depressions. Depression or mental health issues are not something that we have to have some trauma in our life actually to go through it. It's not a hoax. People have suicidal thoughts. People in India right now know it way better than at any other time because of the story of Sushant Singh, which we don't want to touch here, but we want to focus on these 5 women and their journey. So now I will be asking them questions, and you can always post some questions in the comment section so that we can actually ask them. So one thing I want to ask you guys is that, so at least first to Tazmeen, is that you were 8 or 9, I think, when you realized you had this. So what were the symptoms? How do you realize that this is not a sad child, or it's not a introvert child? Let me call it like introvert, because that's how we call it, people going through mental health issues. How did you realize that this is something serious and it should be taken care of?
Up till the age of 9, I was not an introvert at all. Like, I did have friends in school, and I did get good marks, and I was participating in all the recitation and debate competitions and elocution and all of that. Um, and the symptoms began to kick in the sense that, like, I would be like sitting somewhere, and you know, I would start crying, like tears would be flowing from my eyes, and I wouldn't know why. Like, it would just keep going on for like half an hour or 45 minutes, and I would have absolutely no explanation as to why that was happening. Um, Another thing, so that was one symptom that I started crying like a lot. Like, my crying went off the charts. I was crying that much. And I was a child who I was not much of a crier.
Mm-hmm.
The second symptom was that I did not want to leave my bed or my room and my house even. So I was someone who loved going to school, and I had like all those colorful notebooks with like glitter pens and all. And then one day I just stopped wanting to go to school, and like every morning it would be like a struggle for me, and I would end up crying again at the very idea, at the simple thought of going to school. And the minute I would reach school, I would just like keep waiting for an opportunity to go home.
Mm-hmm.
I would basically keep waiting for 2 p.m., which was our time to go home, and I was not focusing on studies. I was just not present in the classroom. And like, when teachers would ask me questions related to the lesson that was going on, I wouldn't even know what's going on in class.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this happened, and then my teachers saw, and they reached out to my mom, like they reached out to my parents, and that's when they like we as a family sort of realized that, okay, something is majorly wrong here.
But I think this is really amazing because I know that parents in India, these could have been actually classified as mood swings, and they actually didn't put it as a tag, and then actually took care of it. That why is this happening? You need to, I think, go down to the root level to understand what the problem is. And I think, did you see therapist at that stage?
Yeah, I did go to a counselor.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody in my family was too thrilled at the thought or at the idea of psychiatric medication.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't go for like full psychiatric treatment in the form of medication, but I did start seeing a counselor, and I started getting counseling, and that helped me definitely. So I would just go and like voice out my feelings, and even just sit and cry for hours at an end. And
But I think that's the main, that's the best part, because I don't think so. As much talking can help, medication can. And I think talking is the best solution. It's just that somebody has to listen to you and stop,
absolutely.
Just okay.
Absolutely. It really helps to talk.
And I would actually
That
like
I
to
will
tell
say for
everybody
sure.
that now Tazmeen has written 2 books, and her second book is actually on mental health. So you can understand that if a person has mental health issues and we diagnose them, we can make sure that the end result is not sad and they don't live a sad life throughout. A diagnosis can actually help to go through and make it a phase. It's not a phase, but we can make it once we diagnose. Thank you so much, Tazmeen, for sharing your symptoms. Now,
Thanks,
Kanika.
Priya.
Kanika, can you share that when you moved abroad? So I know because I'm also abroad, I'm in Germany. So moving abroad is difficult, and there is a type of lifestyle we attached to it. Oh, you're living abroad, you must be relaxing, you have a lot of freedom. But how did you know that this is not just a struggle to be away from family, but it is actually anxiety and panic attacks?
I had so many incidents that I can share with you. To start with, even I thought when I was moving abroad, I had this picture, oh, just say, it's shown in Bollywood, it's all rosy. I was having the same picture. But when I moved there, when I was actually in Australia, and I remember the fourth day in Australia, I had my job ready in my hand because I had so much pressure. I knew that after 10 weeks from today, I'll have to pay my fees, and I know that I have to earn that money in that time. So I didn't have the time to adjust to that culture, to that environment. I was thrown in that pressure. So I think working, and because before that I had never worked. That was the first time I was working. I was working in a restaurant. When I started working, and I was managing my studies simultaneously, I think that was the first time I panicked because I remember giving my exam right after coming from work. I had a 10-hour shift and I didn't get a leave. I went straight to my exam center and I gave my exam. So I cannot tell you how stressed I was that time. Um, I was literally shivering. My palms were sweaty. I had really fast heartbeat. I did not know if I'll be able to even get I will be able to pass the exam because I was just not confident, and I did not invest that much time in studies because I was busy making that money as well. Because if I stop working, I will not be able to pay my fees. If I'm not able to pay my fees, I cannot continue my studies. So that chain was always in my head, and that chain always I was always on my toes, and that was always an alarming for me that, okay, I cannot rest. I don't have that chilled life. I really have to work no matter what. So I think that was something that was very panicky for me, and I was not ready to take that much, like at one go.
Go. I know you from school, so I know that in school you were an extrovert. It wasn't that
Yes,
you had difficulties talking to people. But when
not
you
at all.
moved abroad, did you become an introvert?
I did for my initial stage, yes, because firstly, the accent. I was not familiar with the accent, and Australian accent is considered to be one of those very difficult accents. So I was facing difficulty in conversing with people. So what happened as a result, I was stopping myself to talk just so that I'm not judged by the other person. Uh, yes, being an extrovert was always my personality. But yes, in the beginning stage, I did become an introvert because of the language barrier. Not the language barrier, but the accent and the communication. That's why.
Okay, so the purpose of this question was so that people can actually realize when they see a change in their behavior, they can start analyzing a few things which shows them that this is something not normal and we should address it. We should not run away
Right,
from it. And
right.
tell me one thing, you must be trying to run away from these attacks and keeping yourself busy. I'm pretty sure all of you must have done that.
I was actually doing that, because what I was actually doing was when I was at work, my work was pretty straightforward. You just have to do the same drill again and again. So you don't really converse with customers that much, like to open a conversation so then you'll have a broad conversation with them. So I was trying to hold myself even at universities with my lecturers. I wouldn't be very comfortable to go and talk to them or ask any questions if I have. Having said that, I did have a few friends that made me very comfortable, and there were a few of them were nice to me as well. Like if I had some issues, even like the locals, like Australians, they never made fun of me, or they never made fun of my accent, because obviously it was different. So that actually did comfort me. That pushed me to get out of my comfort zone. Even if I'm making a mistake, it's fine. Like I'm gonna learn if I make a mistake. If I stop myself, obviously I will not be able to get out of that uncomfort zone.
Perfect. Thank you so
yeah.
much, Kanika, for sharing your story with us.
Thank you. Yeah.
Because this is very important for us to understand that you don't need trauma in life to go through depression.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now coming to Shrutika. Shrutika, can you share? You mentioned that you had suicidal thoughts. You are staying at home. You had suicidal thoughts. Can you just share your journey with us?
Okay, so there have been a lot of things since I was the age of 11. There was a lot of bullying that used to happen by teachers in school, and that made me. I was a pro sports person. That is who I was till the class standard 5. I remember when I was 10, and after the bullying started, I stopped um, going to the field. I stopped doing anything that I liked. I stopped drawing. But I never really did. I didn't speak to anyone because I always thought that it's my fault. However, that I'm feeling, it's my fault. Everything is my fault. So I did not speak to anyone. Um, with time, I got better, is what I thought. But something or the other, small things kept happening in my life. Of course, I had the big things, the important things in my life. I had my parents, and my family was there, friends were there. But there were small things that kept bugging me. Um, Only until last year is when I realized that I went to a psychiatrist because my anxiety attacks were on a very high level, I could not breathe. I used to howl like anything. My chest used to pain. I had this feeling that someone is probably pulling me from my back, someone is scratching me. That's the feeling that I used to have. So I decided to see a psychiatrist. I learned that I have depression, severe depression. I have suicidal thoughts. I was under the impression that I have anxiety and okay, ठीक हो जाएगा. But I didn't know that I have severe depression. I should have taken that very seriously, but because I was so involved in my work, I've always been a workaholic. So I started ignoring my medication. I started ignoring my health, and there was a point in January 2020 this year when my health became so bad, my mental health became so bad that I tried to commit suicide. I tried to jump off an 8th floor balcony. I was on the edge when, for a second, is when I realized, okay, Shrutika, just hold on. Because, of course, all I wanted to do was get rid of the pain. Because for me, I don't have anyone to talk to. Yes, I did have people to talk to, but for me, I did not have anyone. No one understood me. This is the feeling that I had. I was wrong to feel like that. And I stopped my medication. For me, I had this terrible pain in my chest, and I couldn't sleep. I wanted to end all of that, everything. I just wanted to get rid of it. But for that split second, I thought, okay, but if I do this, I am going to get rid of this pain. what about the pain that I'm going to leave behind to my family, like my parents, my sister, my fiance, my friends, everyone? What is going to happen to them, right? I'll be happy if that's what I thought, that I'll get rid of the pain, I'll be happy. But will they be happy? They won't be happy. I'm basically just passing over my pain to them, or even worse. That's what I'm going to do. And that is what made me strong. There's a word called jhatka that we say, that is what it was for me. And I took my time, I spoke to my parents, I spoke to my sister, I spoke to my fiance, and I told them that, I need to work on myself. The first thing that I did was I resigned, because work was my work environment was really bad. There were a lot of adding factors to my depression, a lot of them, not just one thing. So small things were adding up. So I decided to resign. I started focusing on myself. Um, with time, Kanika, who's here with us on this session, we grew close to each other. Um, both of us realized how important mental health is, and we started an initiative along with another girl, Kanika Kaul. It's called Anciently Present. So we've been trying to help people spread awareness, because in India, the the meaning of mental health is tum pagal ho. Because you can't see it, right? That's the word that they have. Tum pagal ho. Ye pagal ho
The
gaye hai.
psychotic word is attached to mental health now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of become a
Yeah.
synonym in India, I think, which is
Yes.
not the case.
Yeah.
Yes, that's very weird. So it's like, because they can't see it, right? It's not physical. Till the time the person is ill, the person is not eating anything, pulling, start eating, start doing this, you'll be fine. It's not like that. There's a specific doctor for it. I started seeking that. I went to now I'm on a medication. Now I seek therapy, but it was because I decided that I want to do it. A lot of people say that they don't have anyone to talk to. Absolutely wrong. You everyone has someone or the other to talk to. There are therapists, there are free therapists, you can talk to them. When you say that you don't have anyone to talk to, I know you want someone to be there, like a friend or someone to love you. There are, unfortunately, there are people who don't have that, but that doesn't mean that you do not work on your mental health. Nobody can do that for you. Like, I can encourage other people, but if that person feels that, okay, मेरे को नहीं करना, मैं ऐसे ही ठीक हूँ, no, I'm just going to die, no, that's not the solution. You work on it, and it's only you who can do it. No one else is going to do it for you.
So
yeah.
with this, as Shrutika said, that this means that having family around, not having family around, a lot of factors are really not the concern in this case. It has to first come from within. You need to know who you have to talk to, but it's not that somebody tells me, "Acha yaar, you should do this," and I will do it and it will get solved. It's not a fever which
Yeah.
can just go away in 3
Right.
days, that we can take a pill to kind of be happy. It's not like that. Perfect.
Right.
Thank you so much, Shrutika, for sharing your journey. I have to tell, I'm pretty sure most of the people listening here are all the strength to you, women here. All the strength. So now we have Srishti. So Srishti, you are doing research on cancer. So can you share with us, because you moved abroad for your PhD, you're doing research on cancer. I'm pretty sure doing research on such a critical topic also comes with its, let me say, push buttons. And can you just share your journey here with us? And what were the symptoms you realized?
Let me start by saying that in academia, mental health issues are especially rampant, just because PhD is structured in a way that it makes you fail again, and only the strongest can get through it. And that's the point of getting a PhD. So for me, when it started, there were multiple factors. Firstly, I'm the kind of person that has a very close inner circle, where I get my strength from my family, my relationship, my one or two very close friends. So when I moved to the US, all of that was taken away from me, and it felt like there was no one taking care of me. And I was used to being taken care of, like, most Indian girls, we grew up sheltered. Um, and, the stress of PhD, and somehow, people tell you about racism, right? They say, oh, there's a lot of racism in the US. The negative point of that is that nobody was racist to me, actually. It just got, it started sitting in my head that everybody's racist. So if people are not talking to me, if people are ignoring me, I'm like, they're doing that because I'm brown. It took me around 2 to 3 years to realize that people are not talking to me because they don't like me. Simple as that. My countrymen don't like me. Different people don't like me. It's not to do with my color or the way I speak. And this fear, it also comes from your inner insecurities, because you feel different. You think that I look uglier compared to the white blonde chicks, maybe, or the people that are around you, or you sound different. Now it's like all a running joke. Now I know who I am. Now I know what my worth is, and I don't associate that with my race anymore. Moving on, I think for me, it peaked around my end of my first year in the US. Basically, in our PhD, we have this exam called qualifiers that comes at the end of your first year. It's a very stressful exam. And it wasn't the pressure of the exam itself, but the whole imposter syndrome that's very common during PhD, that you feel that I am just acting it out. I'm not that intelligent. Why am I here? They made a mistake when they admitted me. Plus, relationship issues. And then being Indian, there are always these expectations, right? Your parents expect you to excel in everything. You can't fail. So it got so bad that, okay, so there's like this long hallway that connects our main hospital to our research wing. And I had to walk every day through that hallway. And I used to cry every single morning. It was a 5 or 6 minute walk, and I would cry, and sometimes I would just sit on the floor, and people would pass by, doctors, and like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm just, just chilling out here for a second. And I used to talk to my boyfriend at that time, and I'm like, and he's like, just enter your lab. I'm like, I cannot enter my lab. The institution, thinking of the whole expectations that went with it, I just couldn't. And it got so bad that I approached my program director. I said that I feel like killing myself. That's how bad it is. I see this lab and I feel like I need to not be here, or I will do something really, really bad. So asking for help is really important. There's no issue telling people that, hey, I am struggling and I need you to help me out with it. Thankfully, my program offered me 2 months of paid leave. They were actually offering me 1 year off, but our visa don't allow that. So I took 2 months off. They referred me to a counselor, therapist. Tried all of that. It didn't work for me. In the end, like at the end of those 2 months, right, I was sitting at home not doing anything, and I'm very career oriented. Sitting at home is very hard for me. So all those 2 months, I was thinking, how can I make this right? And at the end of it, I let go of all the expectations. I was like, see, even if I don't get a PhD, it's fine. Like, I can always go back home. My parents are alive. They will take me in. What's the worst that can happen, And when I let go of all that pressure on me, I think is when I was able, after the 2 months, I actually went back, like, because they asked me, do you want to continue with your PhD or not? So I went back, gave that exam. It went really easy, actually, because, I am here for a reason. It's not because, they just chose me based on random factors. And now I'm in my 4th year. I'm about to wrap it up in like 1 year. And to everyone, I would like to say that giving up, it's really easy, and we always make a lot of justifications in our mind. Because I used to tell myself, PhD, I don't need PhD. There's so many things I can do with just a master's. Like, I'm wasting my time. So all those things I used to justify just to quit. But if you don't quit, if you can push yourself a bit harder, but not at the cost of you killing yourself or doing anything really harsh, things get better. Things get like so okay. My friend Rajat from JP, right? You guys know him probably. He sent me your poster, and he's like, why are you on this panel? And he's like, you weren't mentally depressed. I was talking to you. And I was like, see, people's life can look picture perfect, because I had friends here. I had friends supporting me at every moment. We were hanging out. All my friends are, either American or European. So people will be like, oh, you assimilated super well and everything is fine. And I'm like, things can look so pretty, but, they can be breaking down behind the scenes.
Thank you so much for bringing this, because a lot of people ask me what happened to Srishti. And I was like,
Yeah.
nothing has to happen to her for her to have depression. So
Yeah.
depression doesn't come on a face, or it doesn't come with a proper structure. It can be inside anybody. These are actually because of insecurities, emotional burnout, self-conscious, society. There are a lot of reasons for depression. Thank you for bringing this out, Srishti, because this is really important for people to understand that anybody can have it.
Okay,
Even
one fun thing I like to add. I think recently, I think 3 4 days back, something happened. There was this meeting that I was preparing for, and again, so I'm an investment associate as well, right? So I'm a team lead, and I just felt that I shouldn't have been the team lead. I wasn't good enough for this. Again, those self doubts, and it got so bad that I started getting a panic attack. So I'm shivering a bit. I'm crying really hard, and this is for hours. And I call my husband, and I'm like, Leon, I need you. I just cannot. I need to go home. I need. And he's like, where are you going home to? Like, what's happening? So even with my husband, it's hard to explain to him at times why I'm so, because he's like, it's an unpaid internship. What are you, sweating for? I'm like, I don't know. I just cannot handle it. I can't breathe. It's really scary. So I understand normal people not understanding it, because even my own husband is like, what's the big deal? Why?
sometimes I think that pain is the biggest, let's say, pain is the biggest glue you can have to people. You need to have, like, you can see that we girls, though we might not be in your personal life, but we can, I think, understand it better because we have gone through it personally ourselves.
Right.
And then it kind of
Yeah.
makes sense to us that, oh, yes, I can actually see a picture of myself in each one of you. I have gone through the same which you girls have gone through at some stage or not. So this is, I think, thank you, Srishti, for sharing your story with us. And now I will ask Farheen to share her story with us. So as she had already mentioned that marriage is one thing, then going through a bad divorce, and that too in a foreign land, I think it comes with its pros and cons. So, Fareen, can you please share your story with us now?
Sure. So as a human, I'm like a super jolly person, okay? And when marriage happened, like when wedding happened, I was actually super excited for the new life I was entering to. And so after marriage, I shifted to a new country, New Zealand,
Mhm.
and then things didn't turn out to be the way I imagined. Like I always wanted to work, I wanted to be independent, but I was like trapped in this house, and I was not allowed to go out. There were incidents of domestic violence, there were emotional physical abuse, so so much of it. And considering I had no one in New Zealand, I didn't know who to talk to. And although I'm close to my parents and I know my parents are going to be there with every struggle that I have been through, and I'll be going through in future, if let's not talk about that. But at the same time, you don't want to share that with them. You feel like उन्होंने इतना किया है, you don't want to give them that pressure. Oh, their only daughter is sad and is like being ill treated in a foreign country. So you start to like project this image even in front of your family that you're fine. And in your head you wanted to be like, okay, we'll pass this, we'll pass through this, we'll try different things, we'll make this work out. But it was not working out. And then finally it ended. And when it ended, there were so many people who asked me why I'm not coming back to India. And the only reason for that was the gossip that was there, even that I can hear when I was sitting in this country, was was really torturing. Like I am already going through this mental trauma that this marriage didn't work out. And it's not just didn't work out, the emotional and physical abuse that was happening in that marriage was another thing. And then people are questioning random things to my parents, to me, and like having this hypothetical situations. It was like, what, just give us a break, like just give us some time. And that was the only reason I didn't want to go back. And then I applied for work visa here, and I started working in like, I did random jobs. I did face-to-face fundraising. I was working in a restaurant. And I remember whenever I was like, and whenever I'm with people, I'm like super smiling and happy because I don't want to project my sadness in front of them. And then, but when I was alone, I was crying. I remember when I was I went to a supermarket and I was coming out and I was waiting for my bus and I started crying so bad. Like I was like, why I'm crying like this? I am safe. I have protection order, so this person cannot contact me. It's fine. I'm working. At least I'm able to earn my bread. Why I'm crying? And I'm crying even in the nights when I'm on my bed alone. I'm having these thoughts that what's gonna happen, like I studied so much, I was working and I was all fine, and now my life is in this foreign country where I'm like working in a restaurant. I have no idea what's gonna happen to my future. Like all these thoughts were coming in. I'm so thankful for the situation that I was in. Like I was in this country with that situation, because even though I didn't have my friends back from India, or my family was there, like now they were aware that what is happening, but still when I'm crying I don't feel like ringing them. I don't know why. I'm so lucky that people over here, maybe because they didn't, and maybe it's not a stigma over here. Having a divorce is not a stigma in a foreign land. I think it's only in India. So they accepted me for the human I am and not what my past was, and they never questioned me. And I think that really helped me to pick up myself and move forward. Another incident I remember, and this was like early when I was in this phase and I was not able to come out of it. When I was working in a restaurant, this one customer just she said that, oh, you have a pretty smile. And I don't remember when was the last time anyone complimented that. I just rushed in the washroom and I started crying, because I was like, am I supposed to like be happy about it? And does she know what happened in my life previously? Like all these thoughts, it's like a collection of so many things. It's so hard to like express in this conversation. But there's like tiny things there where I realized why I'm crying, and it's okay, this happened, we'll go through it. And I'm happy that my parents also accepted me in a way that, okay, you want to stay there, okay, you stay there and do whatever you want to do. They never pressurized me, oh, what's your future plan, or like that. And I know there are still parents in India who think if their daughter get divorced, they try to like lessen up the relationship with their daughters. And I think that way also I'm very lucky to have that moral and emotional support, that you go ahead, do whatever you want to do, sort of thing. And think that confidence was there, that was showed to me, made me come out of it. And then I went for counseling at the same time. And one thing I realized, even though I'm not able to share things with my parents or with my friends, that one person because with who I was able to share things that was happening inside me, I just felt light. And that's how I started getting out of depression. I really want to emphasize it. It doesn't matter, just similar to how Shrutika said, it doesn't really matter how many people are there around you. You need to have that one person who you feel comfortable sharing stuff. Other thing that what I feel is I'm my own best friend. I do a lot of self-reflection in me, what I'm feeling, how I'm feeling, why I'm feeling like that. And I think that conversation with me also kind of helped me, that if I'm feeling sad, then every time I used to cry and I like used to shiver, I used to keep my other hand in front on my one hand and be like, it's gonna be okay, it's gonna be fine, like giving that confidence to myself that you're gonna get out of it. So that's trust that you're going to get out of it. Life is much more than what is happening at the moment, and people do care about you. It's just that, like, telling yourself that you are important is all it takes to just address that thing. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Farheen. I want to kind of share here that Farheen, I know her since college, and she has been a very, very, very jolly person. And I think, personally messaged you also many times that I'm really glad that you have kept it still, and I can see the same Farheen which I saw in college, even after so many things. So there might be a dip in your life. There might have been a dip in your life, but now you're back through, and this is very important. because self-reflection, self-understanding, self-confidence, I think these are the keys to actually struggle through it. And again, the society part, thanks for touching that, because here society plays a very, very, very big role in how bad your journey becomes. So there is one demon inside of you which is telling you that you're not worth it, you're doing it wrong, as all of these girls have kind of talked about. But the worst thing is when that demon, somebody else is addressing that, because then it validates it, and then it's like, oh, it's just not in my head. I cannot say that because other people are seeing it. So thank you so much, Fareen, and all the girls. Now I want to come to the part where we talk about what role does society play in this. How can So I remember one very nice incident actually. There was this yoga world here in Germany, and I had a 20-minute conversation with a girl who we were able to diagnose that she has depression. And once we saw it, I actually just couldn't see her. She was a very young girl in her 20s, okay? I just had a very nice 20-minute conversation with her. That's it. And recently, we got a message that that 20 minutes changed her life. That's what a stranger needs to do. She left everything that was bothering her. She felt motivated. She changed everything bad about her life. So a stranger, a conversation, just 20 minutes can be very, very helpful. And now we can imagine if our relatives, our friends, our society can be that stranger to us, can provide us that sort of confidence that you are amazing. If a person is constantly telling you that, I'm pretty sure most of our problems would have got solved. Like Fareen's parents trusted her. Shrutika got that feeling that my parents really believe in me and they are there. Even though she tried to do what she did try, but even then she was able to pass through it. So now, any of you girls want to comment on what experience you had with the society? It can either be in worsening it, or it can either be in how they helped you.
So I want to talk about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Go on.
You
Yes.
say.
Shrutika, please share your story.
So I just feel that the society has both the roles to play. Right?
Exactly.
They can make things worse, and they're the ones who can actually make it much better. You find therapists, you find friends, family who are part of the society who make things better for you, and then there are people who make it worse for you as well, right? They keep nudging you, they keep telling you, whatever that is happening to you is it's fine, theek ho jayega, just get over it. Or they spread rumors about it, they make it worse, they make you feel horrible. Like in school, we've experienced a lot of things, right? So that's what I feel. The society has a very important role to play, especially when it comes to India. They don't understand what mental health is. Given that there are so many illiterate people in this country, they don't know what it means. If we go to them and we try to explain to them what it actually is, they won't understand. For them, it's a pagal, dimag kharab sort of thing, because you can't see what's happening. So it's very, very difficult for the Indian society, majority of the people in the Indian society, to understand what is happening. However, I can see that our generation onwards, things are improving because people are giving importance to mental health. So it works both ways. That's my view.
Thank you, Shrutika, for sharing this. We have a question from the viewers. Srishti, it's for you, from Rohan. Thank you, Rohan, for your message. So Rohan is from our school, and he has a question for Srishti because he's also pursuing PhD in US. So what can one as a friend say or do to help? What do you reply to someone who says, I want to die?
Well, I'll tell you what my friends did. So I'm the kind of person that I feel I shouldn't pull down people with me, because it's really easy to do that when you're depressed. I ruined my last relationship by doing that. I was so needy. I was calling that person in like multiple times of the day. I'm like, I want to kill myself, come here, or I'll do something. And that's not fair to the other person. They deserve to be happy. They deserve to not be burdened down. So with my friends as well, I didn't really tell anything. I mean, my friends knew just because, we see each other around, and I stop eating whenever I'm really, really depressed, and or I'll just like stop spacing out a lot. So I have a friend, and he used to bring avocado sandwiches for me every like day, or other day, because he knew that I wouldn't be eating because I'm depressed. So he wouldn't make me talk about it, because again, it's the same thing. What are you going to talk about each and every time? Like, I am depressed. That's how I feel shitty. It's simple as that. um so he wouldn't push me to talk. He would just do his part, give food. My other best friend, every time I am going through one of those phases, she texts me every day to like, "Hey lady, I hope you're happy today," and "Hey, you're so gorgeous, you're beautiful, and I hope you're happy." Things like that. So um, don't force the person to talk if they don't want to, because not everybody wants to like um, just speak about what they're going through. I'm not the kind of person who wants to tell anybody how I'm feeling. Just be supportive, just be there, be around, let them know that you are there. That's it. That's all that's needed. And if they want more, if they do want a sympathetic ear, then you be that as well.
Mhm. I have one question. So, when somebody tells you that I want to die, and this is for actually all of you girls,
Yeah.
that when somebody says this serious thing, would it help if I say that Srishti or Shrutika, I really look up to you as a person? Maybe not in that part, but maybe as another conversation, because then you feel if that somebody is looking up to you, maybe you are doing something right. How much we love you, how much we look up to you. Does these kind of just comments help? It
I
does.
actually have a lot of people that approach me on Instagram. I run Quora a lot, so I've
Yes.
talked about all these things on Quora. So people tell me,
Actually,
"Hey,
he actually found you from Quora only.
okay, okay." So they tell me that they want to die, they want to kill themselves. I don't believe in platitudes. I don't want you to lie to me. If you don't look up to me, why my life's importance is not contingent on me being some great role model. Even if I'm not doing big things, I'm still valuable. So I always reply with, why, what's the problem? So we hear out the problem, there's always some main issue, right? Connecting, try to like make them step back and see it from a bigger picture, that hey, this job, this love, this divorce or baby dying, multiple issues, they will all go away with time. And so just walk with them, talk with them, and make them step back, because sometimes people just get so involved in that current situation that they think, oh my god, I had a student, and she's like, I couldn't clear my medical exam, I'm gonna kill myself. And I'm like, I didn't clear my medical exam, I dropped like 1 year for that. And after the conversation, they're all like, oh, we were just getting really upset for nothing. Sometimes it's just, you need somebody else's insight into your situation. And if I can't help them, or if I think that I'm really scared for them, I will refer them to some kind of helpline that approach. I mean, I'm not a therapist, I'm not trained to help you at that. I can just talk to you like a human being. So
Thank you so much, Shrutika. You were saying something about this?
Yeah, I completely agree with Srishti. It's very important for you to talk to the person. Just talk it out. You need to walk with the person through, because what worked for you might not work for the other person. Exactly what she said. We're not therapists. We're not psychiatrists. We don't know the the way to it, but we can always be there. We can listen what is happening, we can give in a lot of positivity, we can do that. And of course, if we feel that the thing is getting worse, you can always recommend the person, always ask the person to seek help, to seek professional help. That's very important. Probably convince the person to do that, because I feel that it's something which is very important. But it's giving positive views to the person helps immensely. It helps a lot. That has helped me. That has helped a couple of people that I've seen around me. So positivity is very, very important. Very important.
I think it's infectious, because here I can also add my part, that when I went through something like this, when people told me that they appreciate how strong I am, that kind of helped me. when people tried to give me advice, that really didn't help me.
Right.
So don't give me advice, because I am on my own journey. I have, maybe you also try to comment something, I also try to comment something, maybe we are in the same situation from the outside, but internally we have very different journeys. So don't try to be a doctor here, don't try to diagnose it, but just be a nice person and spread positivity, because I think that is all you need. You can just show care. And not even from my personal experience, a friend of mine was diagnosed with clinical depression in US, and the only thing I did for him was, the day I got to know, I was checking up on him morning and night. And I was not talking about depression, I was not talking about how are you feeling, or are you okay. I was telling, oh, what did you eat. I was telling him jokes, we were watching movies, I was here, he was in US. So not really diverting, because that's 1 hour, and the rest 23 I will be in my mind. So don't divert, but give them the positivity that people care, show them that, and I think that can do wonders. Comment me if I'm wrong, ladies.
No, I completely
completely
agree
agree
with
on
you on
that.
that, Ria, because I think we are like, if someone is going through depression, anxiety, stuff like these are all very negative um, feelings. So, in terms of feeling negative, you definitely need to feel positive about yourself. And because you're in a negative state of mind, definitely you cannot make yourself positive. So you need friends, your family, your people around you to give you that feeling about you. I remember like so many times I still struggle with my depression and anxiety, and I know I cannot thank God enough for giving me friends like these, even Shrutika for that matter. They have never stopped checking on me, no matter what. I think having people like them, friends and family who can understand your mental health is really, really important. I would emphasize on this that don't take it very casually. Don't say, "Arey, ye to ho jayega, theek, it's just the time, give it some time, everything will be okay." Address it, talk about it. If you don't want to talk about depression all the time, at least send some positivity out there. That person needs that. That person needs positivity. That person needs your care. Don't just shut them out. Don't think they're, just doing all this drama, because probably they need your help. If they are crying out so loud that, okay, I'm going through this, don't ignore that, because right now it's in your hand. You never know what happens in the future, and that time you will just be regretting it. So just take this opportunity to understand the person, what that person is going through. And like all of you said, positivity is the most important. I think 80% of your problems are solved if you have someone who is just there to listen to you and is there to tell you, you'll be amazing. You're amazing. You have me.
Exactly.
You have me. Trust me, you have me. Just that support, those words relaxes you like anything. You don't need any pills. You don't need all those things. If you have someone to support you so immensely, you don't need all that. Trust me, you will feel so much good about yourself.
This
I
actually
think,
Want to add on
yeah,
all the advices that we get from all these people, somewhere we know about them. It's not that we all are with same intellect, same age,
yes.
so we understand what you're saying. It makes sense to us, and we know that fact that okay, talk it out and everything. But sometimes we don't feel like talking, so give that space. Understanding where to draw that borderline to not cross is really important as well. You cannot push a person to share if they doesn't want to share. Just give that assurance that you're going to be there, whatever it is, right or wrong, you're going to be there. That assurance of being there, and that I look up to you or I care for you, is enough, I guess.
Yeah.
That opens
Also,
the door.
I feel rather than stressing upon what to do when you encounter such a person who's saying something like, I'm completely dejected or I want to kill myself, rather than thinking about what to do, it's also very important to think about what not to do in such a situation.
Yes.
So,
Agreed. Yes.
what not to do is, don't make the person feel crazy. Don't make the person feel singled out that, you're the only one
Yeah.
who's thinking like this. Don't make the person feel less of himself or herself just because they're feeling that way. And don't, just because you are not depressed, or you're not like in the same place and you can't really relate, don't rub that don't rub that in on the person's face. Like, don't be like, well, I'm always happy. Or, don't give unsolicited advice which is unscientific in nature. Like, don't say things like just be happy, don't worry,
Yeah.
don't stress. Like, these things don't really make sense when you actually accept and identify that this is a disease. That it doesn't make sense to tell someone to, अरे छोड़ो यार, like कुछ नहीं होता यार, party करते हैं यार. Like, if someone has fever, if someone has typhoid, are you going to tell that person, don't think about your typhoid and the typhoid will go away?
Mhm.
Or will
Yes.
you tell that person that let's go shopping, let's grab lunch outside and your typhoid will go away? So in that, like, in the same manner, you also have to identify mental illness as what it is and treat it like what it is, which is a disease.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Tazmeen, for bringing this out, because it is very important. If people cannot say the right thing, don't say anything. Please, because
Right.
I
Exactly.
remember so many times, and I'm pretty sure all of us have glimpses of people coming in our head that don't. Trust me, don't. It's been a long journey for all of us. We are struggling through it. We know what's wrong, we know what's right. Don't say the wrong words. I cannot emphasize on this enough. If you don't know it, if you cannot empathize, just listen to the person. I remember when I was going through something like this, I was able to find only, and I'm saying that I was a very social person. I had a very big impact, but I have a lot of friends, but only a few people, I think, and I can actually say one or two were there who were there to just listen. And that was enough. That was enough. I didn't need 10 people to listen to me. I just needed one or two. And that is very important. So we have a question actually, empathy or sympathy? Which is more important for a person in depression?
Empathy is only possible if the other person
Using
has
through
gone
that.
through
Yeah.
Through that.
gone through it. If the person hasn't gone through it, sympathy is all that the person has to offer. So
Yeah.
you can't just pick and choose, right? You
And
can't do
sometimes,
that.
and
Yeah.
sometimes like you don't even need these two options. It's just
Yeah.
that assurance. That's what I'm saying. It's just that assurance that you're there for them. You don't
Yeah.
really need
I
to say,
I
"Oh, I
would
know."
say I would say neither empathy nor sympathy, but sensitivity. Like,
Yes.
you don't have to
Yeah.
actively be sympathetic,
Right.
like, oh my god, I feel so bad for you. You don't have to actively be empathetic, that you sit and try to put yourself in the person's shoes, but just be sensitive to the problem and try not to trigger the person. Like, be respectful of the condition, and don't say something that would send that person spiraling into a dark hole, and don't say something that would push that person back into the dark place after all the progress they've made. So I think neither empathy nor sympathy, but sensitivity is key. Like,
Mhm.
I think
be
I
sensitive.
100% agree with Tazmeen. I think sometimes people don't understand. Sometimes maybe they just say, कि, oh, just chill, yaar, chhod. You're all the time upset. You're all the time depressed. Maybe they don't understand they can worsen the situation. They
Yeah.
can put them into such a dark place that from where they're trying to come out. They not being sensitive can actually hamper the person's mental health more. It can worsen the situation. So if you are not
Absolutely.
sympathetic, don't be. But at least be sensitive, just as a human being. That's it. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, and also have respect for what the other person is going through. Like, for example, Kanika pointed out she was struggling with work and the pressure of studies. Now, I'm sure Kanika might have encountered somebody who said something like, or any other person who's struggling with some real big problems, or at least me in my case, I've met people who have said, why are you always complaining, like your life is perfect, you got what you wanted, अरे यही तो है, exam ही तो है यार, like इतना क्या. So that is like belittling the other person's
Yeah.
problem, or trivializing
Yeah.
the problem does not solve it. Like you think it's easy, you might think it's easy and it's all like
Yeah.
roses and rainbows to go abroad and study, but like for the other person it might be more than that. It could include culture
It's a
shock, it
big
could
deal.
include yeah, exactly. So
Definitely.
We have one question that this is from the parents' side, that how can they make sure that, okay, there is first thing, as there's the first level where you're sad and upset, then there comes a very big state of mental health issues, which includes stress, depression, anxiety, panic, and then comes the last stage, which is suicide. How can parents make sure that if the child has mental health issues, they are not at the stage of committing a suicide? What generally pushes you from the second stage to the third stage? I know it's not really a stage, there are blurry lines, but just for parents, how they can make sure, because a lot of kids nowadays, a lot of young people are committing suicide. How, as parents, they can actually make sure that the kids are capable of doing this, so that they can take the precautionary measures? I know that we should be aware, even if the kid is sad, we should pay attention, but how to know that this is a danger state?
Well, if somebody's having a stomach ache, right? If your kid is suffering from something and you feel it might be some, infectious disease or something serious, what do? You take them to a doctor, you take them to somebody who's qualified, because you probably don't have that sensitivity. If my kid was suffering and I thought that there's some kind of danger, I would take him to a qualified person. I would first like to talk to them myself, but there are a lot of cultural barriers to really talking about these things. um, get professional help. It's not a big deal, it's just a therapist. Like a lot of stigma is attached, I think, in a lot of people's mind with it. Totally unnecessary. Like the moment you start looking at it like a simple disease, you'll make your life and that person's life so much easier, because there are means and there are resources. Use them.
Mhm.
I think
I think
with
sometimes parents can't even know that the child is going through something. I think pressure of the parents is a lot to play in this. I think if parents understand that the child has his own way of growing and his own way of dealing with things, I think specifically Indian parents should learn to give the child that space, that area where he can grow according to his, his way. And I think pressurizing the child a lot for achieving XYZ things puts the child in a very how do I say it? It's in a very in a situation where he feels that, okay, if I don't succeed, my parents will be disappointed. And I don't want to face that. I don't want to face my parents being disappointed. That pressure builds up. I think the pressure of parents, I think that should be dealt with carefully. Parents should not pressurize children to meet their expectations. I think they should give that space to the children, to the child.
Personal
It's
experience.
important
My
that
parents are the typical parents, like my sister is a lawyer, my brother is a doctor, my father is a doctor. I come from that standard family wherein the expectations are super high. And when I was at my lowest, my dad said, "Beta, kuch bhi ho, tere papa bhi zinda hain, tum ghar aa jao, nothing matters." And that was probably one of the most strongest support that I had. And I was like,
Yes.
screw this exam, screw this personal relationship. I'm just gonna go and do my best, because if I fail, my family is supporting me and they
Yeah.
don't care. I mean, yeah, they did have big expectations, but if it comes to my happiness versus those expectations, they'd always choose me and put me first.
Yeah,
Shrutika,
it's
you were
very
saying-
important. Yeah, I was saying it's really important for parents to not compare their kids with other kids.
Oh,
This
God.
is something that Indian parents do. a lot. It's not advisable at all. There is no reason for you to put a barrier so that the child actually feels okay, fine. So if I don't reach here, I'm a failure. Don't do that. Don't put your kid in a box. That's not a good thing. Like a very similar experience as Srishti is when I decided to resign. My parents they said, if this is not making you happy, you know, go resign. We are here. However, I would also want to add to this, there are a lot of people, unfortunate people who do not have parents, people who do not have friends, who do not have family. These people, they need to understand that you're enough. Regardless of anything, at the end of the day, you're an individual. You need to know that you can take care of yourself. You Other people are just support for you. Then they are extra tires for your car, but the four tires that you want, you're that. Okay, so it's very important for them to understand this. So if you want to talk to someone, if you don't have friends, you don't have family, you don't have anyone, fine. You have therapists. You have them. Just go and talk. And people who have a family, parents, they need to support. It's very important. Don't put your kid in a box. Just remember that.
One thing I would like to comment here is that one thing which can really help, I think, is when parents create awareness of what mental health is, and tell a kid that if this doesn't happen, you might get stressed, and if you get stressed, it's okay. If you have panic, it's okay. We are there. So kind of foresee it. So like you always say, right? If you get sick, if you have fever, just come and tell us. The same should be for stress, panic attack. Awareness is very important for young kids. Tell relevant stories to your kids. That's why we are doing this session, so that if a person can even relate to one of these girls, and even one fraction of it, they can relate to us. They should understand that this is not rare. It's very common. Almost everybody has it. Either people don't want to deal with it, either they are dealing with it, or they just are not aware and avoiding it, and then fighting it and making it way worse, because then that is the third section which tries to commit suicide and kind of go off the edge, because then you don't believe that there are people for you.
Yeah.
And in terms of the
Parents
question
need
that
to,
you asked, like how parents can identify when there is that danger situation, I think in like that's how I feel. In Indian society, it's more like home remedies. It's all about home remedies, and I think parents just take it to themselves that if my child is suffering through something, I will offer help. It's good that you have that dedication, but I think there are few times when you can't do anything. There needs to be a professional needs to be involved. I know your child is upset or your child is depressed and you feel that, but at the same time you don't know how to make it better. Like you cannot be 100% at everything. So it's just that acceptance that okay, I'm not able to help, then maybe we'll go to a counselor, we'll talk to a counselor, we'll do therapy. So opening that gate and making that as a normal doctor visit is also important. Like
Yes.
there shouldn't be a hype about it that oh, you're going for therapy. It's just therapy. Yeah.
Perfect. So one thing I would like to comment here is that a lot of people are sharing love for all you ladies. Please, after the live, go and check the comments, because it's amazing. So now we would like to conclude this live topic. The last thing I want to say here is that mental health issues such as stress, depression, anxiety is not similar to being sad or being irritated or being in a mood. There is science which validates that your brain can detect these states as different. So like you have different symptoms for different diseases. There are different brain patterns for different of these stages. So this is all science. I'm not talking random stuff. So please help out, help your kids, and spread awareness. I think thank you all, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
Thanks,
so much,
Riya.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you for having
Ria.
me.
lovely talking to you, all of you. In all of your stories I could
Same.
see some part of myself. So
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I
nice
hope
connecting with all
we
you ladies. More
yeah,
power to everybody.
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you.
We all are in
Bye-bye.
this
Thank
together,
you.
girls.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.